Hello, everybody. It is Brooke and Sam, and we are Empress Evolved, and we are doing our video today on crystals. I'm actually, I am super excited about this one. I feel like crystals have absolutely blown up over the last couple years. So many people have questions about them all the time. There are so many crystals out there, so I don't want you to think through this video we're just going to list them and all of their uses.
That would be impossible.
That would literally be impossible. So we're going to kind of do a little bit of a workaround, kind of talk to you guys about if you're looking for protection, use this. If you're looking for this, use that. So we're going to kind of give you guys a general overview, and then through our Empress page on Facebook this week, we will go ahead and post some more crystals and their meanings. Just so that you guys can start your collection if you have not already. So to start, our disclaimer, as always, you do not have to watch this. This subject matter is not for you. We are not experts on this matter, nor do we say we are. Nor do we say we are. If this is not your cup of tea, that's totally fine. If you want to educate yourself more, that's awesome. Don't forget to interact. Let us know where you're at in your personal journey. We want to be there for you, and we are super excited. So with that being said, let's get comfy and get some blankets and some snacks. All the fun stuff.
All the things.
Sammy, what's your favorite crystal?
I really like malachite.
Malachite. I love malachite. Malachite is
it's just so pretty.
It is so beautiful. They're literally, I love crystals so much in general. They're so beautiful. I would probably say amethyst is my favorite. You'll notice when we kind of go through these that amethyst is one of those crystals that's really kind of a catch-all. I feel like amethyst is one of those that can be used for a lot of different things.
Literally, anytime I look for like crystals that do this or crystals that do that, amethyst pops up in everything. Like I think today we're talking about protection of your home. We're talking about if you struggle with empathy, if you're having trouble with your mental clarity, stuff like that. Those are kind of some of the lists that we have that we're going to go into, and I'm almost positive that amethyst is on every single list. Same thing with clear quartz.
Yep, clear quartz. Clear quartz is another one where,
any of the quartz?
Yes, yeah, where intention is everything. Just like always, we've repeated that 5 million times through this video process and discussing things with you guys. But clear quartz is one of those that's kind of a catch-all as well, that can be used for cleansing, protection, clearing negativity, self-care, self-love, you name it. So really, when you're looking at getting crystals, I know we've talked before about, you can really feel it. When you pick one up, you feel the energy of that crystal. You know when it belongs to you. For those of you who have maybe gone to a store and picked out a crystal, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
You just feel drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mentally, you're just like, that crystal is calling to me. And like, when I go buy crystals, I'll like walk around the store, I'll find one and be like, I really like that one. And then I'll walk away from it, and then I like keep thinking about it.
Yep. It just like pokes at you.
Like that blue one that I keep wanting from Witch Lab.
You've been talking about things for months.
I want that crystal so bad.
And it's the same one you've been looking at too.
I look at it every time we go there. I always pick it up, and I'm like, I will buy it one day.
Oh yeah.
It's just expensive.
Crystals can definitely be expensive. So there is a very big price difference generally between like tumbled stones and raw crystals. So when you're talking about tumbled stones, like I picked up some at Witch Lab today. I've been struggling really bad with my ADHD and anxiety, so I got ones that help with mental clarity, letting go of the past, being able to focus, things like that. When you're looking at these are more tumbled stones. So this one obviously is shaped, but these ones are going to be more small, they're random, they're smooth. Whereas this is going to be a raw crystal where you can see all of the imperfections. Generally, it's more of a rough texture. And of course, it's going to be different from stone to stone. But a lot of times you'll find the smaller tumbled stones for significantly cheaper. Like I said before, we went to Witch Lab today. All of these were $3 with the exception of the calcite, which was $4. So all of these, I'm going to do a post about on Empress and kind of discuss the different things in the purpose in which I got these ones. That you guys can, like I said, start your own collection, figure out what it is that you want to attain, and then you can go locate your crystals. We talked a lot last week about the cleansing properties and the protective properties of crystals, which is kind of what we're going to bounce this video off of today. It having protective properties is a huge reason I am so drawn to crystals. There's a lot of them that will even take negative energy and move it into positive energy. For example, obsidian and selenite both do that.
All the dark crystals.
Mm-hmm.
I use all the dark ones for protection,
Yep.
like obsidian and what's the one you just bought, the ring? Hematite.
Yep, I got one of these rings as well. Real quick side point, if you lose a crystal or if a crystal breaks, a lot of people get anxious about that. Typically when that happens, it's either number one, it's already done its job for you. You no longer need it, and it is going to be found by somebody who does need those properties of that crystal. If it breaks, you can either, number one, give it back to the earth by burying it, or you can give it to people that you see fit. For example, I bought a beautiful rainbow fluorite wand, and I held it in my lap all the time when I was driving. And I stood up out of my car and broke it in half. Well, I was super upset initially, and then I realized that I had told myself I wanted to buy one for Corey so that Corey would have one to keep in his car for protection. It split directly in two pieces, like perfectly. So now Corey has half in his car, I have half in my car.
Aww.
Yeah,
Couple goals.
fine. Couple goals. But that is something that I definitely wanted to touch on because that is totally natural. These, I mean, when they drop, they almost break like glass sometimes. It just depends.
That was how my hematite ring was, which that's the one, if you've seen The Witch talks about that, where
when it breaks, it's done.
It absorbs all the negative energy until it breaks.
Yep.
And when mine broke, I was moving like a shelf like this. And I just like slid it across the top of the shelf and it just shattered.
Yep, that's what happened to my last hematite ring as well. And that's a huge reason I bought this one today when I saw it. Because like I said, I've struggled a bit with my mental health these last couple weeks, just general overwhelm and stuff like that. And with this helping draw negativity out, I know that it'll break when its job is done. So let's jump into some of these crystal purposes. Now, the first one that I brought up was crystals for empathy. So a lot of people that watch this that I know directly have very heavy empathy, which means you, especially Sam and I too, yes, which means you absorb and feel everybody's emotions around you. So some of the crystals that I'm about to list are not only going to keep that from happening in a way, but kind of protect you from absorbing that energy. So imagine when you're carrying these stones that it puts like a bubble of protection around you generally. So a couple things listed, like we said, amethyst is a huge one. Hematite helps strengthen your aura and repels negative vibrations, also calms energy. That's a big one. Smoky quartz as well transmutes negative energy and detoxifies the environment, including the body. We have black tourmaline, which also helps keep negativity away. So you'll notice that a lot of crystals that we talk about either change negative energy into positive energy or literally put up a block so that negative energy just kind of bounces off of you. Have you done the ice thing yet with the crystals, where you put the crystals in water and see what kind of, like, do you know what I'm talking about?
You like freeze it to see like how it forms ice or
something?
No, I didn't know that was even a thing.
This is really cool. Sam and I are going to do this experiment next week. So a lot of people are like, oh, crystals don't have vibrations, they're rocks and blah blah blah, they don't have energy. One thing that I've come across that friends of mine have done, I've seen it on TikTok, all kinds of stuff, not only do they have energetic properties, everything in this world has energetic properties, but when you put crystals in water and freeze them, every crystal has their own pattern pretty much that it creates. For example, I know quartz makes like a sunbeam, like it looks like there's beams of light coming off of it. I'm pretty sure it was obsidian, the one that looks like there's like bubbles in the water, like all of them freeze completely differently based on the vibrations that the stone give off.
The one that I felt at Witch Lab, that huge amethyst that they have, that they is always
big ass one. Yeah.
The one where you can like put your hand inside
in it.
Because you were like, feel this, feel the energy, and I'm like, okay, witch.
Okay, witch.
But when I put my hand in, you remember like the old TVs that you could like put your hand by it, or
and you could feel like the tingles, or like the static.
Yeah, the static, and then like your hair would like stand
up.
That like feeling of the static if you put your hand close to the TV, that's what that crystal felt like.
Hell yeah. And that's exactly honestly how I describe it. Like my interactions with crystals when I pick them out are a plethora of things. Sometimes it's literal like vibrating or tingle in my hand, or it feels like I'm holding something that's like buzzing. Or like I will feel warmth, like that running up my arm, or I will get like overwhelming butterflies where like my chest does like the pitter patter and I'm just like, ooh, this is my crystal, like, and get all excited. So there's, just like we've said about every single video we've done, this is a super personal journey. Your crystals find you a lot of the time. I desperately want to find a crystal in the wild so bad.
Same.
Like that is one thing Sam and I talk about all the time is crystal mining. That would be so cool. So freaking cool.
I think that's kind of a good thing to touch on too, is the part about Moldabite, because a lot of people watching this have probably watched The Witch Talks about Moldabite.
Like, oh, it'll change your life and it forces all the changes that you're avoiding and blah, blah, blah,
like
blah, blah.
Crying, like, don't buy Moldabite.
It'll ruin your life.
The one that, So, the one thing that I heard is you don't find Moldabite, Moldabite finds you. And when you find it, you just have to kind of let it into your life and let it sort things out for you.
Exactly. It's meant to basically intensely put you on the right path. Like if something is not meant to be in your life, it will probably crash and burn the day that you get that Moldavite. I'm telling you that right now. Based on a lot of, and these are not just TikTok experiences. These are a lot of friends of mine or people that I know that have had direct contact with that and kind of discussed with me how much their lives have changed, things like that. There are so many amazing stories when it comes to crystals and their properties and all of these types of things. Moldavite is one of the ones that has just absolutely blown up. There are thousands of more crystals out there that have very similar properties to that. So kind of like beginner crystals, we kind of talked about this before we started the video, are kind of not a thing. Like it's what resonates with you, but things like amethyst and quartz and obsidian and selenite, those are all, like we keep calling them catch-all crystals, where they have a lot of different properties and stuff.
And then you also have to remember that your intention is what gives it power.
Absolutely.
So your intentions will be what make it do whatever it does.
Especially like, because we were talking about cleansing like our spell books and journals and tarot cards and altar spaces and all of that stuff when we posted last video. And these are times where, you know, you're going to want to cleanse those crystals. You're going to want to, you know, put your intention like, I am going to set this selenite on top of these tarot cards to absorb all the negative energy and to replace it with positive energy. Just like that. Its intention is everything. Even though crystals have their own properties, you kind of guide it as to what it's doing. Like if I have driving anxiety, I'm not going to leave a crystal for driving anxiety at my house. I'm gonna put it in my car and have it the intention that it protects me in my car.
I've used I think I've used amethyst for it because amethyst is just so good for everything. But if I start having a lot of nightmares, I'll put amethyst under my pillow.
Oh yeah, I actually always have amethyst. I have amethyst, quartz, obsidian, and selenite. So the 4 that I literally just listed. I have all 4 of those on my nightstand. So that's, I mean, those are all awesome crystals to have. And it's so fun to really do your research. Like not only are they absolutely beautiful, I love just looking at crystals and messing with them and stuff like that, but you will really find ones that resonate with you. That you'll be able to feel how they're going to affect your life before you even are carrying them around on a normal basis. So the next one that we went through was crystals for protection. Again, amethyst was one of the first ones that popped up. We also have citrine, which is me and my dog Onyx's favorite. She carries around a giant thing. It's like this big of citrine on a normal basis. She doesn't chew it or anything. She just walks around with it. We have goldstone, which is easing tension, boost positivity, deflects negativity. We have jasper, and we have tourmaline. So all of these are about promoting calmness. So of course, when you're in your home, you want to be calm, you want to be protected, you want to relax. And a lot of these stones are going to help you attain that in your household or whatever area that you keep them in. And then crystals for new beginnings. Again, we have amethyst, we have aventurine, we have citrine again, we have obsidian again, we have quartz again. And then this one also added rhodonite. I don't think I have any rhodonite. It's really pretty though. It's like black with like pink and red specks. It's really cool. I do want to post too, for those of you guys that are in Ohio, Sam and I do have about 4 different stores that we go to. So we have Raven's Cauldron, we have Witch Lab, Magical Druid, and what's the one? Pearls of Wisdom I go to. Am I missing
Never been to
any?
those last 2. There's also Tropical Trends, which...
I'm actually really glad that you brought that up. The only thing when it comes to Tropical Trends and stores like that really aren't occult stores is a lot of times those aren't ethically sourced. Like if you go to Pearls of Wisdom, Witch Lab, Raven's Cauldron, one of those, you go in there and the person working can be like, oh yeah, that was harvested in Afghanistan this year, it was brought over, blah, blah, blah. They can tell you where it was sourced from. They can tell you where it came from versus, maybe tumbled stones that have been, gone through 5,000 processes, a bunch of different people. It's not sourced from anywhere legitimate.
There was also at the fair, I think I already told you this.
Oh my God, the expensive ones.
Yeah, there was this stand of crystals that I saw at the fair, and this man was selling them. There wasn't anything like crazy. There were no like rare crystals or anything.
Yeah, you told me it was like amethyst, quartz, stuff like that.
Amethyst, quartz, tires, like all the generic ones that you can find at like Tropical Trends or like anywhere that sells
for like
crystals.
$3 for a tumbled stone.
Super cheap. And one of the like cheapest ones is selenite.
Mm-hmm.
And this man was selling selenite spheres like this size.
Mm-hmm. Which at Witch Lab today, those were, I want to say $15 or $20.
This man was selling them for $60 for selenite.
And that is ridiculous.
And it's like, I don't know where any of these came from or anything, but there were signs all over that said like, smile, you're on camera, and I'm like, you really?
And those are people that really bounce off of the fad.
And he, so each like box of crystals had a sign with what it was called. Mm-hmm. It didn't talk about their properties or anything like that. It just was showing what they're called. Mm-hmm. So there'd just be a sign of selenite. He walked up to everyone that came up to the stand and was like, all I ask is that you read the signs. Read the signs. It's common sense, people. Read the signs. Because, like, he must have been getting annoyed that people were asking him what each crystal was called.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. If you're going to set crystals out, be prepared to talk about them. Because a lot of people don't know what they are. A lot of people want to know more information. By sticking a name on a piece of tape above a crystal, it does not tell you
it doesn't talk about their
what
properties
it is
or where they're from or anything like that. It was just what they were called. And then they were extremely overpriced. And just his negative energy, I'm like, I'm not buying any crystals from you.
No, absolutely not. And speaking of the negative energy, one thing that I think that we've touched on before in a video is when you go into an occult store that has, a lot of magical people that have come through it, you can absorb that energy like it's nothing. So when people are walking around, like let's say someone's having a really icky day and they're walking around and they're picking up all these different crystals, trying to see what resonates with them, which is not a problem. That's exactly what anybody would do. But those crystals absorb that energy of other people. Just like we talked about last week, that is why it is so imperative to cleanse your crystals on your own, because you don't want the energy, that stagnant negative energy from all these other people. And that's why we talked about...
I feel like when I leave Witch Lab after I picked up a bunch of crystals, I feel like my hands are just like really disgustingly dirty.
Oh, 100%. And I can feel like it's like a film, it feels like, of everybody's energy just stuck to you. Like, I kind of even get to the point sometimes where at certain ones, especially if they're like smaller, I'll kind of get a little bit overwhelmed. Yeah, stressed me out. Like when we left and like walked down those steps, I got like super dizzy and was just like, whew, that was a hell of a lot of energy.
It wasn't even a big store, but I just felt like this layer of like, ew, all over me.
And that doesn't go to say anything about the store itself. It is all about the items that are in those stores. Because of the properties that they have, they act like glue. They take that energy. So crystals, literally the whole purpose, or not whole purpose, but a huge purpose, is about absorbing and avoiding negative energy. Well, negative energy doesn't disappear. Energy is not created nor destroyed. We all know that. So if you go in there and this person has, a negative mindset, is having a tough time, when they're picking up all these crystals, whether they know it or not, it is drawing out some of that negativity. And that is why it is so imperative that you take care of the ones that you get for yourself, because you don't want to reabsorb that. You don't want that around you. Crystals are a very, very, very personal thing to you, for sure. Okay, so we've got new beginnings.
And I think it's also something to point out, like if they go to a store, because this has happened to me, like when we went to Raven's Cauldron, I was like adamant that I was going to find a crystal. I didn't have one in mind, I just wanted a new crystal, and that's what I went there for. And I walked around that store and made like 50 laps around that store trying to find a crystal. And I just... Nothing
weren't connecting.
None were connecting to me. I just wasn't feeling anything by any of them. And then I looked at the tarot cards and I found a tarot deck. And I think sometimes you go there with one intention, and
the universe tells you.
You need something different. And I'm so glad that I bought that tarot deck.
Oh, I know. Is that your
the Deviant Moon?
The Deviant Moon one. Yep, absolutely.
And I went and ordered the book like the week later.
The book is awesome. We are actually, great time to jump this in, we would like to do our next video on tarot. Now, tarot is an extremely broad subject.
So that's going to be a big video.
That is going to be not only a big video, but we want to know what you got, because we're not going to go through like specific cards, their meanings, stuff like that. We'll probably do overall like the different card suits and how to use tarot cards, how to use oracle cards, stuff like that, but less of the specificity. I'm grounded. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next week. But just like what Sam said, like today when we went to Witch Lab, we were literally going to take a couple videos for like snippets to add into this video. And as soon as I got there, it was just this overwhelming, I need you to go read all the crystals, read their meanings, and find the ones that stick out to you. Because, like I've said for the 4th time in this video, Mama's been struggling with mental health. And I'm literally telling you, I haven't even cleansed my crystals yet. I haven't left them out overnight. I haven't done anything that I need to do with them yet. But the sense of comfort that I have just having them in my possession and knowing what their properties and their uses are is more comforting to you guys than I can even possibly express. And I want everyone to be able to experience that. It's really crazy that like an object like that can hold enough energy to genuinely affect your day-to-day life. 100%. Oh yeah.
Yep. And then if anyone wants to buy a tarot deck, same thing. I recommend going to a store to buy your tarot deck rather than buying online, because
you can touch them, you can feel them, you can interact with them.
I feel like tarot cards are a big one that just speaks to you when you're meant to get them. Like they call to you.
Yep.
And so when I bought my first tarot deck, I guess we're getting into tarot now, but it's fine. When I bought my first tarot deck, I bought just like the generic one from Amazon.
Yeah.
But I figured maybe I just start that way. I hadn't met you yet. And I did not connect with that tarot deck. I didn't understand it. It didn't have a guidebook. I didn't know what I was doing. They scared the shit out of me.
Oh, I bet. I totally bet.
They scared me so bad because everyone on Witch Talk just made it sound so scary that like you need to cleanse them and they speak to you and you give them your own meaning. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, and honestly, you just kind of have to have a knowledge base before you jump into tarot like that. It's extremely difficult to read tarot if you have no idea what you're doing.
And it helps when you can actually go look at them, pick them up, see what calls to you, which ones stick out in your mind, which ones
fall off the shelf. And
I have a deck that I need to go buy because it literally jumped off the shelf after I sat it down.
Like, excuse me, hello, I'm yours, I come home with you.
And I just think about it all the time, along with that stupid crystal that I need, and it's like $200.
Oh, yeah.
I need money.
And just random pit stop, I know we've said this before in one of our videos, but I'll say it again in regards to tarot. Not even a lot, it is kind of like an idea that some people have that you cannot buy your own tarot deck. That is not a thing. That is not a thing. If you want to practice tarot, go practice tarot. Go learn. There is also a really good app called, I think it's Labyrinthos that I use. So, hold please. Labyrinthos. Yep, it's Labyrinthos. When you open up the app, and I know you guys probably can't see this super well, so not only can you do readings for yourself on here, which I don't prefer. I don't prefer electronic readings. I definitely prefer using, the ones that jump in my deck. But there is a learn option here, and they literally pop up like they are flashcards. So you can click on, if you're struggling with maybe a card in your deck that got pulled and then the description in the book doesn't make sense to you and you're really not connecting with it, this is a really, really good app to use for generalized information. That has helped me.
Or give it some time and something might pop out later.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. And we'll go a lot more into tarot obviously next week. That's just a little bit of a off subject for you.
Preview if anyone wants to get a deck and have it ready for next week.
Absolutely. And
I just wanted to throw that in because if someone wanted to have to go buy a deck and have it ready for next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we both have a combined 10 decks of tarot cards. I've
had 2. I gave one to my mom.
Okay, so you just
So now I have the 2 plus my Oracle deck.
Okay. So I'd say we have 7 or 8 between the two of us.
Next week too.
Yeah.
The difference between tarot and Oracle.
Yes, very big difference between tarot and Oracle. The way that I always think about it is you get the hard truths from tarot and you kind of get your mom caretaker, okay, sweetie, you're gonna get through this, is Oracle cards. So it really kind of depends on,
Except for my Deviant Moon deck. That one's a tough love deck.
That is very tough love deck, for sure.
That one is what you brutally need to hear.
Most definitely. But I really think, I know that this was a little bit all over the place, but we didn't want to bore you guys by going crystal by crystal by crystal because that's not going to resonate with you.
So much to it, and it's something that's so personal that it's we can't sit here and tell you what crystals to go buy. You just kind of have to do your research, and if you go to a place like Witch Lab, they have little cards that give it purpose, and ultimately you set your intentions and you give the meaning to it yourself.
Absolutely. And like I said, the ones that I had got today were very specific to what I'm going through. So for example, when you're looking at all these little cards, so they have, I know you can't see it super well, but the crystals are in this little container and then they have these little cards over the front of them. So the main one that I really, really liked today, here we go. I got Rutilated Quartz. It says Rutilated Quartz is an illuminator for the soul, promoting spiritual growth. It cleanses and energizes the aura and draws off negative energy, helping you let go of the past. It gives protection against the ill thoughts of others. It helps reach the root of problems and facilitates transitions and a change of direction. Rutilated quartz relieves fears, anxieties, and phobias. So, you know, sometimes you're going to go in and have an intention, have exactly what you want, and other times it's going to find you. Either way is not the wrong way. But at the end of the day, grab what resonates with you. Do what makes you feel happy.
You just gave me an idea that we should do for maybe a future video.
What?
About reading auras.
Oh, what's funny is so some people can feel auras, some people can see them. I see them. That is something that I don't really talk about all that much because people are constantly asking me about it. But it's something that my mom and I can both kind of do, which is really fun and cool actually. And I feel like connected to the way that I'm an empath because the more connected to people that I am, the more intense it is for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that would be a great future video. And don't forget to throw us ideas. Like, I know we have about 2 years worth of videos that we have planned, but we really want to continue to make you guys, you know, happy and excited about what we're doing. So any suggestions that you guys have, let us know. But I think that wraps up today. You have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, again, I am Brooke.
I'm Sam.
And we are Empress Evolved. And thank you guys for hanging out with us during our crystal banter today. If you guys, Facebook. Yes, please follow us on Facebook, Empress Evolved. I was going to say all of our other pages, but that would take 20 minutes. So Empress Evolved is great. But we will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for joining us. And when you get some crystals, or if you do already, drop us some pictures. We would love to see what you guys have.
Yay.
Yay.
Bye.